Hi everyone, I'm Marina Parenti here, working towards my dissertation on Wonder Woman at her height of disempowerment at the same time of the height of the Second Wave women's movement. And so this research is looking at comics as cultural artifacts, the role of consumption in shaping comic book fan culture and American society from the 60s to the 80s during Wonder Woman's disempowerment and the Cold War. So I chose these three sources: Mark Lytle's The All-Consuming Nation, Benjamin Wu and Jeremy Stoll, The Comics World, and Henry John Pratt's The Philosophy of Comics, all connecting consumption, fan identity, and comic gender and fandom during Wonder Woman's disempowerment. I want you to note here as well that AI did create some of these images, and then we do have some original images, like in this kitchen debate ad that's next to Wonder Woman here. So again, it created the book, and then I have the original book here. It's just interesting perspective to compare these. So Lytle's All-Consuming Nation looks at post-World War II consumers' role in American identity. And he discusses specifically the kitchen debate, at least in the first chapter, and connects comic book fans purchasing as a cultural act. Also, I would add a political act, and then connecting it to her disempowerment as consumer driven gender norms that had a capacity to reinforce traditional roles over feminist ideals. So this is a key component for my analysis of consumption and gender. Moving forward, we have Wu and Stoll. Sorry, that's hard to say. And they look at comic books as a cultural medium. I see this come up over and over again as legitimizing comic books, but I like this part where he's talking about their publics and talking about fan engagement. We're having in San Diego here, we have the ComicCon, and that's coming up next week. So I'm very excited to people watch at it. As a business owner, I had attended it in selling comic books for quite a few years, but now I just participate in watching the audience. So, Wu and Stoll, they're looking at the building of fan identity through consumption, as I mentioned. And again, it's a critical component of my dissertation, as it's talking about fan engagement at conventions and their influence on Wonder Woman's disempowered portrayal during the second wave women's movement. And there's a connection there between the tensions between fandom and feminist ideals again. So that's another aspect of the fandom. Then we have the third source on the philosophy of comics. This is an actual comic book, not a rendering from the AI, but this part, the philosophy is AI. I just thought it was really interesting. And then, of course, this is the actual book by Pratt. And so Pratt's philosophy is he's looking at comic criticism as readers evaluate judgments. And again, that legitimizes the fan as a critic, right? And also as a participant, an active participant, which is something I'm looking at. And he also looks at how, as before comic books, they tended to have you have highbrow, which is opera, and then you have lowbrow, which is, comic books, and seeing how, they have really unique narratives that we need to look at in history. And so this is again connecting the fan engagement to consumption culture and feminist critiques. And that will center my dissertation in comics cultural significance. I hope you've enjoyed this very short video. Thank you.